It is high time we made a decision. So far, Parliament has done everything possible to avoid making a choice. Motion after motion and amendment after amendment has been tabled without Parliament ever deciding what it wants. All MPs have been willing to say is what they do not want. I passionately hope MPs...
Hello, guys, and welcome to the show this afternoon. You know, I've got some audio problems and audio issues I'm trying to fix. I'm having trouble with it, but anyway, I'm working on it. I'm trying to find out what the problem is. It's software issues. But stay with me. And here's what we're going to talk about this afternoon is Brexit. And we're going to talk about how in 1 week, Britain could fall out of the European Union with a hard Brexit and how this can affect the markets. That's why we're talking about it. We're not talking about it because I'm so fascinated with Brexit, but Brexit could be a black swan event that could blow up the whole world's financial system, because the whole world's financial system is a tinderbox that's ready to blow up. And it's looking for just something to come along, tip it over the edge. Okay, and Brexit could be it. So we're going to get the charts started. And the first thing we're going to look at right here is Barkow. Barkow. This is very important. Barkow is very important. And why he's important to this situation is because I think he's right, first off. They put this vote through Parliament with the same thing twice now. The exact same thing. It's been voted down twice. He doesn't want it to come in a third time with exactly the same thing all over again. I mean, what are you going to do? Vote on the same thing over and over and over again until you get the result you're looking for? Is this how politics has come down to now? You know? But also, the Prime Minister of England, Theresa May, today is starting to come down hard on Parliament. Parliament's doing their job. They're doing their job they're intended to do. Barkow has come out and he has addressed them and he's told them that they're doing their job, they're doing the correct job. I'm on his side. I think he's doing a good job and he's commended Parliament. Let's take a look right here.
None of you
I'll start up the video.
is a traitor. All of you are doing your best. This should not be, and I'm sure will not prove, to be a matter of any controversy whatsoever. From the chair, let me say that I believe passionately in the institution of Parliament, in the rights of members of this House, and in their commitment to their duty. And I use the word duty in the singular advisedly. The sole duty of every member of Parliament is to do what he or she thinks is right.
Okay, so that was Barkow. Now, what did Theresa May say after that?
It is high time we made a decision. So far, Parliament has done everything possible to avoid making a choice. Motion after motion and amendment after amendment has been tabled without Parliament ever deciding what it wants. All MPs have been willing to say is what they do not want. I passionately hope MPs...
Okay, so you got the gist of it. She's putting all the blame on Parliament. I'm going to tell you what. Parliament is doing their job. This is the job they're supposed to do. They are a collective of people who decide. And they have decided. They've faced this vote twice now. And they're going to throw the third thing in front of them again? So anyway, I'm siding with Barkow. Now, let's take a look at an article here. It says Theresa May is irresponsible to scare people with the threat of a chaotic no-deal Brexit. Now, here's the thing. I think it is irresponsible to make a no-deal Brexit, to make it into this huge hurdle in everyone's mind that the sky is going to collapse. Do you know what happens if everyone in the world actually believes the sky is going to collapse? Well, it can cause a panic or a chaos worldwide. And they've made this threat of a chaotic no-deal Brexit, but they haven't given us any reason why it's going to be chaotic, this no-deal Brexit. They've just said, oh, the world's going to come to an end. Well, you know, what's happened is the stock market has come through a Goldilocks rally. It's been pumped up on corporate buybacks. And it's something similar to what we've had in 1929 with the crisis that occurred that was called the Great Depression. Terrible crisis when the stock market in the United States collapsed. The stock market in the United States right now has undergone 2 adjustments. I'm going to call them adjustments, but they scared everybody. The last one, not too long ago, everybody started to get scared, but it bounced back. Now it's back into bubble territory. It's pumped right up high, and it's ready to fall. All that would need to happen is some little trigger. Now, a no-deal Brexit could end up actually being that trigger. And the reason why is because of the anticipation of it. Not so much the event itself. The event itself, I believe, would be it would pass right through. If nobody cared, it would pass right through and it wouldn't be a big deal. But it's because they've trumped it up and made a big deal about it. And this is irresponsible to do this. To scare all these people worldwide and then let it happen. And then what happens? The stock market collapses, of course. It says, Theresa May said today that the British people deserve better than what the House of Commons had given them. Well, the House of Commons is doing their job. She's blaming it all on the British people. I think it should be all turned around. Turn this thing around. Who really deserves the blame for this? So divided is our parliament and our country that everyone can agree about that and yet fail to agree about what should be done. What should be done? Why should it be done? I mean, this is going to be put to a vote and decided upon. She's just mad because she isn't getting her way. Her and the boys in Brussels. That's the way I see it. In one respect, the Prime Minister has undoubtedly failed the people. She's continuing to scare some of us with the prospect of a chaotic no-deal Brexit. Despite the Commons voting to rule it out, she has continued to try to use it as a threat to push Labour MPs into supporting her deal. Today she appeared to co-opt Donald Tusk, the European Council President, to this undefying strategy. He said that the EU would be willing to grant the UK a short extension of the Brexit timetable, but only if Parliament approves Mrs. May's deal. What do you think the chances are? It's come right down to this. The EU is only willing to grant the United Kingdom a short extension of the Brexit timetable, but only if Parliament approves Miss May's deal. So it's come down to this. Miss May's deal needs to be approved by Parliament. Otherwise, the EU is not going to give an extension to Article 50. And if they do not give an extension to Article 50, then in 1 week, just about 1 week, 1 week and 1 day, I guess, it's time, which is not very long, Britain will fall out of the European Union with a hard Brexit. Now, in my mind, this would not be a big deal. But you have to understand that because it's been made to be a big deal, with this fear-mongering tactic, then it can become a big deal because all of the world's markets are poised right now to go into a recession. Canada, here in Canada, our real estate market right now is turning over. Our economy is turning over. It's been predicted that our dollar is going to fall to 62 cents U.S. against the U.S. dollar. Right now, it stands in the 70s. We've got Britain just barely escaped a technical recession in the last quarter of 2018. And the first quarter numbers have not come in yet. The first 3 months, January, February, and March. Now, they said January looked pretty good because it was 1/2 of 1 point of 1% above recession territory, which is this much above recession territory. And they said, hey, you know what, January looks great. No, it doesn't look great. The British economy has been undergoing massive, because of the uncertainty of the Brexit, the British economy has been undergoing massive slowdown. I believe that Great Britain right now is in a recession, but it has to be declared technically, a technical recession, which requires 2 quarters of negative GDP. Okay, I think it'd be easy for us to get there. Now, Germany just barely escaped being in a recession. They're flirting with negative numbers, negative GDP numbers. China, of course, is fudging their numbers. They're saying they have 6%. It's really probably more like 3% or less. China's undergoing a huge slowdown that cannot be denied. At a certain point, they're going to have to come out and admit it. And now, the stimulus measures of China now are getting so that they're pushing on a string. And what I mean by that is they're having little or no effect. It's kind of like if you had a long piece of lumber and you were pushing on it. Your strength pushing on it would push through the lumber and it would push whatever object you're trying to push because it's hard and rigid. But if you're trying to push on a rope, because it's going nowhere. You're pushing on this end of the rope, and whatever's on the other end of the rope is just falling on the ground. It's not going anywhere. So your energy's not going anywhere. And this is the way with the China and their stimulus programs now. And the reason why is because everything is zombified in China. The banks are zombie banks. The corporations are zombie corporations. The factories are zombie factories. What they do is they just suck up the money like a money pit. And the money has little or no effect. It just goes to enrich the people within the corporations or within the banks. This is the same problem they had back in the former Soviet Union. This is the way socialism ends up going in the end, ultimately, is it goes to, the money doesn't go anywhere. You pump it in, and it's like it doesn't go anywhere. It gets absorbed. So for each dollar, say, they pump in, they get like 1 cent of actual function from that. There was a time when you invested $1, you got $1's worth of function from the dollar that you invested. So the Chinese are pushing on a string. They're not getting anywhere with their stimulus anymore. They control, the Chinese, the people's government in China, they have absolute control over their economy. But what they can't control is a general slowdown because they're not selling enough product and they're not buying enough stuff. Like cell phone sales in China just fell off a cliff. They're not buying any phones anymore, and this is an indicator that the people in China don't have enough money right now to go out and buy a new phone. And car sales in China are falling off a cliff. And this is because they don't have enough money to buy new cars. Now, in the United States, we can see the effects of the general slowdown. They've got, quite literally, millions of car loans are failing, and they're going to have repossessions starting pretty soon on a tremendous amount of new automobiles. And this money that went out from the banking system, every time that they sold Like when times were good, maybe 2 years ago, and they were going around trying to find people, anybody who could qualify to buy a new car. If you could steam a mirror, if you could hold a mirror in front of your face and steam would form on it, in other words, if you were breathing, you qualified for a new car loan. So they went out and sold all these cars to these people. Right? Now, whenever they sold a car to these people, what happened was they created that money. And it went into the system. But now that these loans are not being paid back, suddenly the banks are on the hook for all of this money. It's billions. Now, they received enough money in bailouts and stuff that they're absorbing it so far. But I can tell you right now that the banking system, because of these delinquent car loans and also what's happening with all the credit cards out there that are not being paid back, and student loans that are not being paid back, it's just a matter of time before these banks start to get in trouble. It's like it's eating away at their Tier 1 capital. So, under the new Basel III, they can keep gold as Tier 1 capital. Starting on the 1st, I think it's the 1st of April. I'm going to tell you, this could have a very positive effect for gold and silver. Anyway, there's an awful lot going on in the economy right now, but be prepared for the 29th of March, because it's starting to swing that way, where it's starting to look like we very well could get a hard Brexit on the 29th of March. Be prepared for it. It's never looked more likely than at this point. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll keep you informed of the latest on these developments. And I'm going to keep working on my computer and trying to find this software glitch that's causing me my voice not to sync. And sometimes it's even changing the pitch of my voice. I'm going to be trying to find out what's causing it. During this video, in fact, I've changed the video resolution, and I'm going to see what happens with a different video resolution. Catch you guys later, and remember to give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, guys.